Now, when it comes to Drake and Kendrick Lamar, well, now I gotta cut the music for a second because before we go any further, as I'm getting news that Drake and his crazed fans and team may be coming after me next, be sure to leave a like and subscribe because really, I'm gonna need all the support I can possibly get, and I really mean that today because when it comes to lame-o Lawbury and the king of rap in Kendrick Lamar, well, now as Drake has become the Karen of all Karens and is Karening out so bad that a rap beef has turned into the quest for DNA tests, well, within this, what I love to see and what's important to highlight within this fall off and all of this truly terrible stuff for hip-hop and for Drake, with his actions, what is becoming the detachment from his name to hip-hop and its culture forever? Well, all comes down to how the other side of hip-hop is responding to the crazed Karens on a search for paternity tests. And now with what I am talking about, I'm not referring to anything going on the fan level or anything like that, but for Kendrick Lamar himself and the people around him. And what I think this week and this moment that Drake has just created is a perfect instance of is when you're not a basement dweller who defends Drake way too much, just clearly showcasing over everything else who is on the right side and wrong of hip-hop history and every single artistic precedent that we have seen as a whole, literally in the history of human expression. Because again, when you understand what this moment is really about, it is this big in terms of the stakes of it all. And now listen, what I am really saying is that now while one side is running around and sharing images of another grown man's wife and kids, all to try and have whatever gotcha moment that they believe this is, although of course there is literally nothing going on other than Drake just publicly putting out these delusions and paperwork. Well, what Kendrick Lamar's side of hip-hop has done first off is collectively see the BS and insanity that the courtside Karen has done. And well, instead of going on insane tangents on social media or doing whatever other weird things that these people who like Drake just keep doing, all everybody on Kendrick's side did was go to their place where they listened to music and just played Not Like Us, because really, I'm sure like a lot of you, when you see the pathetic and humiliating things that Drake is doing and how far he is trying to drag things, it just makes you want to listen to this song all the more. And this is why with this record as a whole, well, once again, with lame old Karen now on the quest for the test, well, once again, it just skyrocketed on the charts, which first off with this, when it comes to Drake, and specifically what he said and what he wants to prove with this case in the first place, well, you can see in real time how it's not bots or machines that made this song work and cement itself as the all-time hit record that it is. But, and I know this may be shocking for the Drake fans who are still listening to me speak for some reason, but just brace yourselves because you may not like this. It has been your guys' own self-humiliation and embarrassment, which has just continued to get worse and worse all the way to the point where pretty much now anytime that Karen's out and all of us see how bad of a Karen he is, the song only becomes more relevant once again, which I don't think that Karen has figured this out yet. But again, you can just see how the organic reaction and demand surges this song's popularity in real time, and it's not machines or fake numbers, but it's his own delusion that keeps making Not Like Us the all-time track that it is. And so with this, as one side of hip-hop is running around and doing whatever you want to call the verbal incoherent slop that they keep putting on their timeline and that I keep seeing for some reason, and then the other group is just listening to music and supporting their favorite artist. First off, I think even in terms of how just the fans feel and perceive music, it's very telling about who is on the right side of rap music here, and then also who is about the gimmicks. And now at the same time as all of this, when it comes to how Kendrick Lamar has been moving this week alongside whatever the courtside Karen of rap has been doing, well, once again, I think we can learn a lot just by seeing where these two are standing and what they are doing with their time, and even in the bigger picture, what the legacy and impact that they are leaving with in this moment. Because for Drake, well, he is only leaving losers with more fuel to lose once again, and just believe further in the fantasy world that he has created so carefully to avoid the fact that they have lost once. On the other side of things for Kendrick Lamar, there are big things going on, and with how professional he keeps things, you would never even know what he is being dragged into by all of these Karens, because really, as Kendrick just finished the European leg of the Grand National Tour, which marked the 39th show on the entire run of all-time hip-hop performances, well, what we are seeing now is through all the ridiculous stuff going on, and through Drake annoying him and trying to get his family involved in their beef now, Kendrick is not just continuing to stick to what he stands for, which is making great music and speaking through his art exclusively and not getting involved in any of the other gimmicks. But even greater than that is Kendrick just finished off something that no other rapper, including Karen, has never even come close to. When you see the way the people who have been alongside him for the journey are showing love to him, which we have seen most prominently with both SZA and Mustard, well, when you just see both of these stars thank Kendrick for the experience that they have played such a key part in and that they have worked in tandem on together night in and night out to ultimately solidify the biggest rap tour of all time and the biggest tour of the summer with every single moment and show that they have arrived at. Well, when you see the praise that Kendrick has been held, and even just the way the crowds have moved over and over again, and how Kendrick has stuck to the art no matter what else is going on, well, this is exactly what Kendrick meant when he said that you can try to rig the game, but you can't fake influence. Because outside of all the noise and chaos that other side of rap keeps trying to perpetuate, well, for Kendrick Lamar, you can just so clearly see real people being moved and people having nothing to say but the highest praise for him. And really, when you just see this, which even when Kendrick was closing out this tour and before Drake took things this far, tensions were already rising because Drake has been crashing out and talking crazy for a while throughout the entire rollout and plan of everything he is doing, both with the Iceman episodes, because of course we have seen this whole Pinocchio character that Drake is trying to call Kendrick Lamar, and I'm sure Kendrick has unfortunately had to see this himself, because despite Kendrick never actually being online, he seemingly does see so much because he's so tapped in when you hear him rap or just hear him talk. And between that and all the monologues that Drake has made about him during his performances, Kendrick has to know what's going on. And none of it's moving him, and none of it's causing him to do a single thing, which honestly in a way must only be making Lawbury go more insane. And truly, as we are in an era where it is so easy to just post something embarrassing and try to say something out of impulse that you wanted to get off, but then you just look awful for it overall. To just see Kendrick Lamar really since Like That dropped now just stick to the music and art of what he is doing and never fall into the trap of becoming a clown who is ruining their reputation online and engaging in the back and forth petty games that people like Drake build their entire brands off of in this era. Well, listen, when one guy is running around and begging to get DNA tests like this is a normal thing that anybody has ever done in any sort of a conflict in the history of conflicts, and then the other guy only ever comes out to make music and express himself to the highest level that an artist can? Well, once again, when you were just checked into the reality that me and you are in right now, you see every single thing you need to know. And so really now, with Kendrick Lamar just being able to do what matters in this time and keep up his all-time run and engage with this Karen stuff only when it is building on the story and run from him, which is carrying and protecting the entire genre of hip-hop, well, really, outside of these artistic moments, which are just progressing Kendrick's movement forward without deteriorating any of it at the same time, I think the silence we will continue to see from Kendrick Lamar and the persistence and devotion he has to his craft and hip-hop will continue to speak volumes. And really now, at the same time, as we have a literal clown show and mess diluting and destroying everything that hip-hop has ever built, just to have a rapper that is acting like a beacon for creativity and who is continuing to keep gimmicks away from him, even when they are becoming pretty near in terms of his personal life, in terms of the fact that now Kendrick and his family are being pulled into this paperwork and who knows how the label is going to respond to that. Well, listen, I don't think these losers have gotten the point yet, but all of this is only going to make Kendrick Lamar do one thing and one thing only, which is going to be just have more all-time great things to rap about than ever. And really all this is just going to be more motivation and fuel to make him go harder in every single thing that he does and nothing else. And to be honest, the way this moment is moving and the way Kendrick is responding, this is what he told us to prepare for and how he would move on tracks like Man at the Garden, Whacked Out Murals, and so much else. And really, as we are in this time where we are just seeing the full circle, almost prophecy it feels like, of Kendrick doing the most hip-hop thing ever in the Control verse back in 2013, and then to foil that, seeing Drake whining back then during that iconic Elliott Wilson interview, and all of that now reached the point where today, we have seen this very obsession and jealousy that Drake has had of Kendrick reach the point where he is doing everything he is in the paperwork, where meanwhile at the same time, Kendrick Lamar is still that beacon of hip-hop, and the only reason Drake is crashing out right now the way he is because that's exactly what Kendrick stands for, and Drake can't deny that. Well, listen now, for Kendrick Lamar, what is clear is that the only reaction that Drake is ever going to get out of him with all of the things he drags out and tries to embarrass himself with no matter what are just more performances and moments that are going to make everybody see that Kendrick is not just arguably the greatest rapper of not just this generation, because we know he is, but of all time with ease. But really, and this is how high the stakes are at this point, one of the most important artists, faces, and beacons of an entire form of expression and just creativity in general that we have seen in the history of modern media. And so now with all this said, let me know. What do you think about how Kendrick is moving right alongside every single thing that Karen is trying to Karen out with? And what do you think about the Karen situation? And how do you think Kendrick is going to move forward even with the label now creating all of this drama, which behind the scenes Kendrick probably has to deal with, although he of course is not going to make a show and spectacle out of it, and he's just going to continue to stick with the raps. Now I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this one. And if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And now if you want to see how before this, well, Drake just humiliated himself like we have never seen by bringing Kendrick's kids into this suit, check out the suggested video.